Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation, Brenda. Thanks, of course, and most importantly to all the small business owners, some of whom I see here today, for your patience and for coming here and telling us what's going on out there and being kind of the eyes on the ground to see and tell us how this has impacted your individual businesses. I am encouraged to see small business owners here this afternoon and that they're continuing to participate in the conversation. In every conversation I have with a small business owner, before, after COVID, about construction, not about construction, the question of access to capital always comes up. Access to capital, in my book, is access to opportunity, and the construction has been denying that of many businesses. So at a personal level, to most of you small business owners, access to capital is also hope, just keeping your businesses alive, and not all of them did. Not all of the businesses survived. So I understand that, and I'm happy to see that this grant has the potential to provide opportunity for small business to strengthen or expand, hopefully. I caution, be real frank, I caution us to, before we all are congratulating each other and ourselves, I'll feel a lot better when these small businesses have this capital in their operating accounts, when they're able to know and have some comfort that they're going to survive to see another day and to provide service to our community. In that, I do have a couple of questions for staff. They're getting the word out. Well, one of them, and to that point, is the timeline. Is there any way to sort of tighten up that timeline? I think we're looking at, was it allocations of money in March?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is actually a condensed timeline. When we rolled out the COVID impact grant, the timeline for the build and making sure the application, you need to make sure that foundation is right? You don't want to open up the application window and then have businesses frustrated because it's not working and the system's collapsing and all that. The typical time for that is 6 weeks. We also did a lot of outreach during that time. We did work with Lift Fund and our partners on this timeline to really see how we could shrink it as much as possible, but also being responsible to making sure that we get it right. So it is that 4-week build, and then again as accelerated as possible to get the money out the door. If for some reason we can get it out sooner, we certainly will be. But that was really where everybody felt we could shave off some timeline and be comfortable with the commitments at the same time.
The 4 weeks is the build for the application process?
That's the build for behind the testing, the making sure that the system works, and we are going to take advantage of that time for the outreach. So concurrently to Lift Fund doing that, we're going to make sure that we're building out that and implementing the outreach program, including block walking, making sure we're reaching out to the businesses. So there's definitely a lot more to come and providing materials and whatnot on all of that.
And I admit, 2 months is not it is a pretty quick turnaround, I think, for this kind of process. But when you're a business owner worried about every single, couple of weeks making payroll, 2 months can be a lifetime. So as much as we can tighten that up and make it a shorter process for them, I would encourage that, and however I can support that. I was going to ask you about outreach. So that's my next kind of set of questions, really making sure that we're taking, of course, into account the digital divide. I'm really pleased to see Historic Old Highway 90 on this list. It's a corridor that's dealt with construction for a long time, and the businesses have been very patient. They've gone through, even the name change several years ago was difficult for them, and they've gone through that, and now going through the pandemic, and then now that they have their name back, having to deal with the construction has been a lot for them. And I think about businesses like Pilos Molina, that there's a lot of businesses, yes, are connected, and they're not, they have access to the internet, and that's how they advertise, and they do social media. There's other businesses that are just mom and pops, and they don't necessarily do that. So I want to make sure we are knocking on doors and letting people know about these grants. And of course, I'd be very grateful to join you on those walks. I love doing that. On slide 5, I think you mentioned 135 businesses receiving the construction supplement from ARPA.
Yes.
I want to be clear that those businesses are still eligible to apply for this fund, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's just going to be offset? by the
Yes,
amount they received?
The maximum grant they'll be eligible for under the COVID construction recovery grant is $25,000 in lieu of the $35,000.
Okay, and that's if they receive the full 10,000?
If they receive that $10,000 construction supplement under the COVID impact grant.
Okay, but they are still eligible, they can still apply, even if they already received that 10,000?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Brenda. Thank you.